Driver, start your engine! In the beginning, stock cars outran the police to deliver the hooch to our ancestors. So sweet. Are you ready for a trip down Victory Lane, where Richard Petty's winnings were insane and Dale Earnhardt put everyone to shame? Canadian Junior Handley is in the Hall of Fame. Live from Haldeman County, it's time for the Driver in Deep podcast. Are you ready?
Hello and welcome everyone to the Driver in Deep podcast with your hosts Alex and Mark, which as always is brought to you by wingnutsports.com. Howdy, Alex.
Hey, Mark. Listen, I hear that there's some confusion with the name of our podcast.
Oh, yeah. I knew you were going to go there. Yeah, well, you know what? This is
you brought it up.
Well, I did bring it up previously, but now our listeners are going to get to hear it too. It's actually a pretty funny story. Joni, my wife, and I were just recently at an outdoor event, and we're talking to a good friend of ours, Andrea. And it turns out that Andrea is one of our regular listeners and told me that she really enjoys our podcast and has never missed an episode, which is awesome. And of course, I thanked her and told her we really appreciate her taking the time to listen. And Andrea didn't really want to stop there. So this is when I realized there might have been some libations involved. But in Andrea's eagerness to help spread the word, she went around telling everyone about our podcast, Driver Home Deep, and that they should check us out. So I did attempt to correct the ambiguity that our podcast name is actually Driver in Deep, which is a racing term, unlike her name. But apparently Andrea does like her version of the name better. I guess as long as people are talking about us, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, sounds like an honest mistake to me. Like I always say, call me what you want. Doesn't really matter as long as you get to the point. So,
yeah.
One thing for sure, you probably don't want to Google Driver Home Deep unless you want to hear a terrible or see a terrible YouTube music video.
Yeah. And this time you're not even talking about Three Fog. It was pretty funny, though, but I think we're probably just better to leave it there. Anyway, Alex, today we're going to speak with Derek Griffith, a rising star from Hudson, New Hampshire. And Derek has a seriously impressive resume, and he's only 24 years old. Do you know Derek well, Alex?
No, I don't know him real well. We met at Jacasa at the Nationals, I believe it was 2019. Him and his guys got into town a couple days early. So they parked and got unloaded and worked on their car some. We got a chance to spend some time with him and talk to him and his crew before things got real busy. And I'll tell you, man, they're just great folks. And of course, I became a fan. He didn't have a great day at the Nationals. I think he was 33rd or something. But, that happens in this sport. But,
right.
Yeah, no, I don't know them well, but they're really great people.
Yeah, you know what? I can't wait to hear all about it. So how about we get started?
All right, let's head to Hudson, New Hampshire, and welcome one of the hottest drivers in the business right now, Derek Griffith. How's it going, DG12?
Excellent. How are you guys?
Great. Yeah, really good here. Good news here in Ontario. They just upped the vaccinations, so I just got my second one today, and and now it looks like Canada's starting to at least catch up to you guys.
Yeah, it's been cool to see it. We rolled up through the Northeast here pretty fast, and we're saying I think like 60% of America or United States here is vaccinated as far as adults go. So pretty cool to see it rolling through.
It's awesome to watch some of the sporting events in the States where all the stands are full. And
no, it's not awesome. Derek, last week at Berlin. And I'm thinking, man, we can't even have 100 people.
Anyway, to start off, Derek, I just wanted to congratulate you on your second place run last week in the Money in the Bank 150 at Berlin Raceway in Michigan there. Was that your first time at that speedway? And how do you feel about the race and your second place result there?
Thank you. And first time there. I think it was a pretty good showing for us. That the racetrack wasn't we've been to a lot of racetracks over the East Coast and down south and stuff, and it was not a very straightforward racetrack. It was pretty difficult to get the line down, and then the locals I don't think they get enough credit. Those guys are pretty hard racers. You know, they do a hell of a job. And, I was really impressed with how good they ran. And, it was, you know, we go to a lot of local racetracks all over the country. And, same thing, you know, like we go to some places and it's like, man, these guys race these cars every week. They look like death traps, you know, and we went there and they had beautiful race cars and they ran hard but clean, and it was a good time.
Yeah, of course you had to run into, Super Shoot Osabar there at his home track. That kind of sucked.
Yeah, for sure. It was, you know, he was going to be the guy to watch for sure, but he's home track hero, and I get it. You know, it was good to kind of, be second to him is almost a win in a sense as our first time going there. And, you know, we went there with a crate motor car and you know, I had a really strong car for sure. Yeah,
awesome. So we'll go way back now. You got started racing at your local track, Hudson Speedway in New Hampshire there in the 4-cylinder cars, if I'm correct. And then, if I'm right, you made the huge jump from them right to super late models. Is that correct? I mean, that must have been crazy as far as it must have been a shock to the system.
Yeah, yep. And we ran, they called it the Thunderlight division as a kid. And what it was is I think it was 16 and under, 12, 16 was the age group. And like we would weekly, 20 cars here, in Hudson. And, I had a little Volkswagen Golf GTI. And it was a, funny little car to drive. And from there, I moved forward to a division called, it was like a mini stock division, but they were called Roadrunners. Still a 4-cylinder car. We had a little 4-cylinder Mustang. And from there, we did do one like half season sort of an, outlaw late model, where it's like no rules. They had, 8-inch treaded tires, 2-barrel carburetor and a weight rule. So other than that, have at it. Whatever crazy stuff you want to do, you can do it. So I spent a little bit of time in one of those things. And then we went to a super late model. So we had a little bit of experience before jumping up, but, it wasn't much by any means.
Did you race any go-karts at all early on in your career?
Nope, never any go-karts or anything like that. I mean, I've been on something with a motor since I think I got my first ARCA kitty cat when I was a year and a half old. So, I mean, it's been in me for sure to be on something racing or doing anything. I remember going to we used to live on a little pond here in Hudson, and my dad would put me on his, ZRT 700 triple, and I'd be racing all the guys because I was the lightest one. I'd be able to get away from it. So, it's been in me since I was a kid.
Oh, that's great. For our listeners, they don't know that we're actually talking on Skype right now. We have you on video, and, looking at you right now, you're such a clean cut guy. And, reading your bio there, I see that your nickname when you were younger was the Rock Star. And, that had something to do with your haircut, I understand.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I had the wildest, long hair all the way down to my shoulders, past my shoulders for a little while. That was curly. And that was like a little nickname that the racetrack gave me. And I thought that was pretty neat back then, but it seems like they lost the nickname as soon as I lopped the hair off. So maybe I'll grow back one day. Who knows?
We're jealous. We're definitely jealous.
The bullet's in, right?
Hey, I'm not jealous. Grass doesn't grow in a busy street, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, before we move on, I'm just curious, and I should know this, but is Hudson Speedway still there?
Yep. Yeah, sure is. Actually, we're going to be racing there this Sunday with the.
Oh, okay. That was my next question. If you go back still.
Yep. Yeah, we go back, and Ben, the owner, he purchased the track a couple of years ago and has done a ton of upgrades to the place, paved the pits, new stands, good food trucks. Yeah, just doing a really good job. And he, will be there this Sunday. He's a really good friend of mine, good sponsor too.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's great. Derek, you mentioned that, as soon as we're done here today, that you're going to be heading to the shop to work on your cars. Is your late model team a family operated team, or do you race for an owner?
It's family operated. There's, 3 of us. It's me, my father, and Louis that work on the race cars during the week. Louis Michelitis, he's my crew chief. He owns the race car shop, and we kind of all own the race cars together. We all have our piece, our part in it. And, it's actually kind of cool because there's not really a lot of people that do it like that anymore. Especially in the super late model world where it's family owned. I mean, I've been with the same people, since my Roadrunner days. Louis, rebuilt a motor for me in my mini stock Roadrunner thing. And, since then, I mean, we've worked together, for 10 or 11 years now. So, I mean, it's not, a revolving door here. I mean, we're pretty family oriented. We do the same stuff, with the same people every weekend. It's really cool.
Well, that to me is a lot of the reason for your success. I was in the same situation. We were the same guys forever. And, I think that carries a lot of weight. I think, there's pros and cons, but I think the pros outweigh the cons if you can make it happen for sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Everyone's got their job. They know what to do, and they do the same thing every week. And that's really big. Yeah,
for sure. Listen, you've won many races, man, including some big ones like this year, back-to-back Easter Bunny 150s. They ran the postponed one from last year and back-to-back same weekend at Hickory. And you won, in the past, you've won the Granite State Pro Stock Championship. I think it was 15, the past national championship in 2018, and back-to-back World Series, Super Late Model Championships at New Smyrna. Talk a little bit about some of these accomplishments, and what races do you plan on trying to conquer in the future? What do you really want to get?
It's been an unbelievable ride for me and the small team. We've been able to do so much with so little. We've had a lot of really good help from, tons of sponsors over the years, and just friends, family that want to, do their part. And it's cool. I kind of been a little bit of like a torch holder for the Northeast up here for the last year or so. And I mean, that's so fulfilling to me to be able to do that. There's so many good racers up here, and for them to consider me as, one of the better, that's huge. And, probably races tame in the future. I really got to get a good snowball derby finish top 5. I mean, we finished top 10 a couple times, but man, I really, really want to get up there. Last year we had an excellent car, just, it just didn't pan out just right. So it's racing, part of the deal, and we'll hopefully have a really good car this year. And then, there's races all over, the 250, the big race up at Ducasa, the big money race, everyone wants to win that one, not even just for the money. I mean, you saw the field there, last year. It's phenomenal.
Crazy.
So, we really got to, kind of chase into more of these races. That's why we went to a place like Berlin. That's why we want to go to these other racetracks. I'd love to get out to like that Evergreen Speedway out in Washington, out in California, at some of those, big, fast racetracks that they run at out there. I'd love to. So it's always on the menu. We just got to pick and choose on what we're going to go and when.
Yeah, absolutely. And you made mention, Derek, about carrying the torch a little bit for the Northeast folks. And man, you said it, there is a ton of talent up there and so many great racers. There has to be, I'm sure there's a bunch, but of all those guys up there or girls, I mean, who did you kind of who was your mentor? Who kind of shaped you? Who did you watch as a kid that was really incredible to you?
Cool enough. I got to watch a lot of my crew chief Louis race. So, I watched him for quite a bit of time before, even like my first couple of years in a pro stock, super late model, whatever you want to call it. We ran very limited, races, and he ran kind of the remainder, or what I didn't run. And to see him to go to places like Thompson and Cannon's a racetrack that shut down, and win these races. And he ran open, tour type modified, at Seekonk. And I mean, I watched him lead every single lap in some $10,000 win race for a big grandfather clock, and nice. Go to Waterford, run good at Waterford, run good at Thompson. He ran Bush North. To see the stuff that he did was pretty dang cool to me. I mean, Speed Weeks champion. I never thought I'd to get to that level of competitiveness, and that meant a lot to get that first one. But that was really the guy that I watched a lot growing up. I went to his races. I got to talk to him. I got to sit in the car. I drove, the car after he won out into the pits. That was probably one of the biggest. And obviously, you get guys like Teddy Christopher and Mike Stefanik and, DJ Shaw, Mike Rowe and Ben Rowe from up here in the Northeast in the Fender cars.
So many.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Yeah. Alex mentioned that you had won back-to-back World Series at New Smyrna, and I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but there's only 4 other people that have done that to this point, and one of them is one of Alex's mentors. Alex, were you aware that already Derek has done what Junior Hanley has done in the past?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
No, I knew it. I know Derek knows too that there hasn't been that many.
Sure, yeah. Junior Hanley believe it or not, my first super late model was a junior Hanley chassis, and we still have one sitting in the corner. Another little bit before my time, but another mentor for sure. I got to hear a lot of stories. It was kind of like Louis' guy he watched, so
Sure.
It trickled down to me some way, shape, or form.
That thing doesn't have an old body on it still, does it?
It did when we first got it, but it's got one of those 5-star ABC bodies, like a
Okay. It's so funny because there's so many junior cars over the years, and he has nothing that he ever kept. And I've never seen anybody that's done a restoration of one of his, one of his original ones. But such a shame that part of history is missing.
Yeah, yep. I see. I'm a part of the Junior Hanley fan club and all that stuff on Facebook, so I get to see all the photos of the stuff he did back then. I'm like, man, how did they know to do that in the 70s and 80s? Stuff that he did.
Was so far ahead of his time, man. So far ahead of his time. The great ones always are, right?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Derek, something I bet you're pretty proud of is when you were chosen to be part of the Alan Kulwicki development program. I think that was for 2 years, and this is a pretty special program. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about it and how it helped you in your career so far?
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing program. What they do is they choose 7 drivers to kind of carry on the legacy of Alan Kulwicki. So 7 was Alan's number. They choose 7 drivers. They give $7,777. Every driver gets that. So, they're a large sponsor, very large sponsor for a lot of late model guys. And we all compete amongst each other on and off the racetrack to embody Alan the best. So a win counts for, obviously the most amount of points. A second counts for, 3 points less, and et cetera. And then off the racetrack, you have other things that you do as well. He wants you to kind of embody the soul of Alan, and more than just on the racetrack. They want you to, work at your local soup kitchen or food pantry. They want to, give back to the community. They really enjoy when you do stuff with the racing, bringing your race car to the preschool kids and saying, hey, come sit in the race car. They want to make new race fans. So that's not exactly the easiest thing to do nowadays. Racing's a dying breed of fans, and it's cool to see a lot of young kids get involved with it. So they choose those 7 drivers to embody them, and you compete in the championship. I finished 3rd, I think, my last year I did it. Such an honor. Meet amazing people. That's how I met Chad Bryant before I got the drive for him. So I sat at the table with Chad Bryant and Paul Andrews, Alan's crew chief at the time, that he won the Cup championship. So, you sit at a table with those guys no matter what. It's pretty dang cool.
So, for our buddy up here, Danny Benedict, that's 7,777 is about 10 grand Canadian, buddy.
Yep.
He really liked it. Yeah. Hey, listen, speaking of the program, I reached out to our buddy Tom Roberts, who, of course, is, for people that don't know, the director of the Kulwicki program. And I told him you were coming on our podcast, and he mentioned a few things that we should bring up with you. Obviously, you touched on it a little bit, but the obvious one is the friendships that you've made being part of the program.
Yeah, people don't realize, although we're competing against each other, you kind of link on a level that is, it's different. You're not necessarily during the year, but when you all come together for the banquet, it's like seeing that friend that you haven't seen in 5 months or a year or something like that. You all get together. Man, I can't tell you how much fun we had. We ended up going out in North Carolina with Danny and, a bunch of other friends that were in the area that, we stayed up till 3 a.m. having a blast. And, it's cool to do that. It's not people you see every weekend or you see even every month or anything like that. So, it means a lot to build those relationships with people that you normally wouldn't. I would have probably very unlikely even met Danny. So, it's pretty cool to have the relationship. And, we got group chats now that we talk about, Jeremy Doss was racing down there in Pensacola. And Cole Butcher, we were all like, hey, Jeremy, you're doing a killer job down there. And it's cool. It's cool to see that camaraderie, I guess.
Tom also said to ask you where you have your Kulwicki Conquistador award on display. And I'm interested to know what that award actually represents.
So, I actually have that one at home. I have very little awards at home. I usually keep them at the race car shop. I have that one at home because it meant a lot to me. And the Conquistador was like in Spanish, I believe, was like the conqueror. So what happened was I had a not a rough year my first year, but we didn't have a fantastic year. In my second year back, I think we just really stepped up our program on and off the racetrack. And he's, his version of it was you conquered your issues, and he did a really good job of doing that. So he came up with that. It was a very unique award. I don't think anyone else has got it since. So it meant a lot to me, more so than anyone else.
Yeah, so one final thing Tom brought up, and he said to make sure you ask Derek this. He said to ask you just how much fun our old buddy Bubba Pollard is away from the Speedway.
He's a lot of fun, I haven't got a chance to see him too much lately, but honestly, and the Oxford 250 and some other places, we had a blast. The banquet, the Kulwicki banquet, and many other times, we've had a really, really good time. So we'll, sorry, my phone's going to die. I'm just panicking here a little bit.
No worries.
Yeah, no worries here.
Yeah, he's a blast of a guy for sure.
Hey, Derek, how cool is it to be chosen number 1 in the 2021 annual Speed 51 short track draft? I know that you've come a long way, and previously I think you were 49th.
Yep. Yeah, my first year drafted, I think we were 49th is my first year, and then it was 36th. Then we made it up 12th, and then I think it was 14th, and then 3rd, and now 1st. I mean, progression-wise, it's amazing to see the progression. Of course, we've had the success to back it up, but to beat guys like Nassi and dozens of other of the best short track racers in the country in that draft meant a lot. And people voted on that. People that mean a lot to racing made that decision that I was the guy to choose. So that meant a lot, and it's going to stick with me for the rest of my life.
Well, thanks for the compliment, bud. Because I don't think I mean a lot to racing, but I'm fortunate enough that Speed 51 asked me to have a vote. So, and just so you know, I voted for you, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So, listen, in 2020, most recently, you made your debut in the ARCA Menard Series, and I think it was at New Smyrna. You won the pole in your first attempt, and you finished second. Not a bad way to start. Were you looking to go in this direction, or did it come together you weren't looking to go this direction, but it came together because of another situation? How did this all happen for you? I think you touched on it earlier with Chad Bryant, but just tell how that came about.
Ironically, so we were at Speed Weeks last year, and we had no plans. We had talked to Chad a couple times about doing something, but it never panned out. And what happened was we raced a little bit before tested, raced the first night, and then we actually went out. It was my birthday. So that was the birthday, the Sunday of the ARCA race. So what they did is, we weren't really racing too much at the time, to get the week going. And I'm like, let's go out for my birthday. So we ended up going out, having some fun, and we saw Chad out, in Daytona. So, we just got to talking, and he, I guess, had prepped that car for someone else, and it turned into, hey, I'm getting it down here. You're driving it on Monday. So, that just fell together, and obviously we had a really good showing. And, from there, it was a lot easier to land a sponsor after a run like what we had at New Smyrna. So, we had the original Gourmet guys hop on board, and our plans were to run just the East season and not the full ARCA season. And then obviously the pandemic kicked in, and the fans in the stands were our biggest ally, and now they were gone. So,
right.
Due to the sponsor, we kind of had to step it up and run, Kansas and Pocono and all these races. So that was really the biggest thing. And I'd love to keep doing it. It's just very difficult to get the funding, more so than anything. But it's hopefully going to continue.
Well, for me, I kind of wondered how that came to fruition for you, but I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure that series, as much as I love it, I think you are in a lot deeper competition with the late models, which is probably, let's be honest, the big reason for that ARCA opportunity is the amount of competition you're with all the time when you're racing with 30 and 40 late models, right? So I'm not trying to slight the ARCA deal, but I don't think that that's the only thing that you need to do to be able to move forward. If that makes sense.
Agree. I totally agree. I tell everyone all the time, like, if I go down as one of the, better late model racers of this time, I'll be totally happy with that than progressing. If I can't get that progression forward, then, it is what it is. And it usually the progression's based on funding more so than anything for these ARCA cars or trucks or anything like that. The more funding you have, the more better opportunities you're going to have, and the more chance you have to learn. You're going to learn a lot more from a team like KBM than you are some 35th place truck that is racing 4 races a year. Not knocking those guys. It's just you just will not ever be, unfortunately, where you need to be with a guy like that.
That's actually a perfect segue to my next question. And you already touched on this when we were talking about the Kulwicki development program. Do you feel the exposure to some different people and the chance to do some racing on bigger tracks is an important step for your development? And do you have any specific goals with where you want to go in motorsports?
Yeah, it's never the amount of seat time that you can get is very, very, very important. Whether it be in a Honda Civic race car or a super late model or an ARCA car or a truck, any sort of seat time where you think you can learn something, you got to go for it. It's never a bad thing. And I bring a lot of that information that I receive at that level of racing and bring it back down to our super late model program. Of course, it's always going to trickle back down. And as far as like where I see myself, I really, really would like to progress forward. I know, unfortunately, with the situation that I'm in compared to a lot of other racers, I know that's very unlikely. So if, like I said, if I, go down as a really good super late model racer, I mean, we spend, everything we can, without going bankrupt to race what we do now. And we have enough help where we can race all these big races and have nice equipment and stuff. But I mean, we really, this is our life. This isn't like a hobby on the side that we do when we get bored. Like this is what we live for. We work every day to do this, and we work every night on the race cars to do this. So, like I said, if I go down as a good super late model racer, totally happy with that. I'm starting to get a little bit more opportunity wise, in the future, that I think I'll have a pretty decent shot at it. But, if that shot doesn't come through, then, I won't lose too much sleep.
Yeah, it's a great attitude. And if, I believe that you just have to do the best you can do all the time, and good things happen to good people. And I think that you'll have an opportunity of some sort. It's all timing, man. You know it as well as anybody. And you just have to be ready for that opportunity when it comes, for sure. Right now you're on a nice roll. It seems to be whatever you get into, you have success. And when you mix that with being a respectful person on and off the racetrack, I still, like I said, think good things will come your way. And I just want to say, to have a great season. We look forward to following along this year, and hopefully we can cross paths again once this border restriction stuff ends and all this other pandemic crap, and we get back to normal and get to see each other and race with, at a race or wherever it takes us. So I'm looking forward to it. Just want to wish you success and thanks for taking time today.
I appreciate it. It's been my pleasure for sure. And hopefully I can see you soon. The Jukasa was a awesome racetrack to go up and really see. So hopefully they open the stuff up soon and get rolling.
Derek, we really appreciate the time you spent with us today. But before we let you go, where can our listeners follow you online, and how can they purchase some of that new DG12 merchandise you have available?
Awesome. Yeah, we got an Etsy. It's pinned on the Facebook page. It's just at Derek Griffith 12. And then also same thing on Twitter at Derek Griffith 12. My Instagram is Recon Junior. And if anyone's got any sort of questions, my personal Facebook's open. I answer as many messages as I can. So it's open. If I don't reach you, then just try again, and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can.
That's great, Derek. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great season. Say hi to everybody for us, and be good.
Yeah, have a great season.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Derek has a great future ahead of him for sure. I only met him, like I said, one time, but him and his crew were just first class.
I absolutely going to be following him and wish him the best. Young guy with a lot of potential for sure. And as always, please visit Facebook and search for Wingnut Sports and join our page. We're also at Wingnut Sports on both Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget to visit our website at wingnutsports.com and be sure to check out our show notes for more information. And don't forget to like and follow us.
Absolutely. And if you like what you hear, please share it with your friends. This has been the Driver in Deep podcast, or is that the Driver Home? No, it's the Driver in Deep podcast with your hosts, Mark and Alex. Thanks for listening.
Well, we're wide open sideways.
All right, you're clear.
The talk is cheap.
You're clear on this.
We got the foot to the floor. There's only driver in deep.
Gonna be on the inside of you. All right, you're clear. Got a slow boat coming up on your inside. All right, you're clear. You're clear on this. Gonna be on the inside of you. All right, you're clear.